It sounds almost too good to be true. A vice presidential option for Senator Obama, who served in Vietnam, was Ronald Reagan's Secretary of the Navy, has a son who has served in Iraq, and who seems to have no qualms himself about calling out Republicans. Our fourth story in the countdown, it's not likely to happen, but we will ask Senator Jim Webb about it nicely in a moment. Apropos of this, NBC News has confirmed that John McCain will meet with three potential vice presidential candidates in Arizona this weekend: Florida Governor Charlie Crist, Louisiana's new Governor Bobby Jindal, and former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney. On the Democratic side, Senator Webb has said he is not that interested in running, telling NBC's Tim Russert over the weekend he would, quote, highly discourage both Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton if they considered asking him, attributing his high media profile lately, including an interview 10 seconds from now, not to political ambition, but to promotion for his new book, A Time to Fight, Reclaiming a Fair and Just America. Senator Webb joins us from Washington. Thank you for your time tonight, sir.
How are you?
Who could be better on the ticket than you? And I am asking this nicely. If you can't name anybody, don't you have to run?
This is something that I really haven't discussed with the people who make those kinds of decisions, honestly. So, I think the nominee is going to be Barack Obama. It looks pretty much that way, and he's going to have to figure out not only the election process, but how to govern. And so that's really, something I've never talked with him about.
Gene Robinson and I just hashed this out, this Obama electoral problem, this issue of votes among the white working voters of the South, etc. Is this, to some degree, a phony argument, or overall, how do you read the implications of last night's vote in Kentucky in particular? Well,
I listened to the tail end of your conversation with Mr. Robinson, for whom I have great respect. Sure. I really enjoy listening to his views. And this is not a racism issue, and I think he would agree with that, but it is a cultural issue. And I was going back to the last book that I wrote, not this one, but the book called Born Fighting, which is a cultural history of the Scotch-Irish people who settled in the Appalachian Mountains. And if you look at the voting pattern from central Pennsylvania all the way down through northern Alabama, northern Georgia, that was the first migration pattern. These were the people who settled that country. And I wrote this piece in a Wall Street Journal right before the 2004 election, and it was called The Scotch-Irish, the Republican Party's Secret Weapon. And in that I said, Karl Rove and the Republican operatives understand this culture, and the Democrats don't even know that it exists. And we're seeing that a little bit now. This is a group of people who are not voting, they're not staying away from Barack because of his race, but they have an antipathy toward the Democratic Party's movement since the 70s toward interest group politics. And Barack is a person who can overcome that. He's spoken on this issue, I think, quite well. He just needs to get out there and get to know these people.
Is that what it is? Is it exposure? Is it going to them and saying, look, here's who I am, let me find out who you are, tell me the problems, and I'll tell you what I'd do about them?
Well, part of it is, I think, a sense that this is a cultural group that went directly to the wilderness, and for many generations has had difficulties fitting into the American mainstream in economic progress and educational progress, this sorts of thing. Southwest Virginia is very heavily out of this cultural group, and I think they have a sense that a lot of the interest group politics have worked against them. There's a saying in the Appalachian Mountains: when you're poor and white, you're out of sight. So someone like Barack, who has spoken about these issues in a general way, I think could appeal to this cultural group and get their votes if he goes out there and meets with them and lets them know how he feels. The last part of this article that I wrote in a Wall Street Journal said that if this cultural group and Black America can come together at the same table, they can remake American politics.
Well, let's hope so on that. All right, you've indulged me on the politics of the day. Update me, if you would, on your new GI bill and where that stands.
Well, as you know, you've done some great segments on the show on this. I introduced this my first day in office. The idea is to give the people who've been serving since 9/11 the same type of benefits as those who came back from World War II. We now have 57 co-sponsors in the United States Senate and more than 300 in the House, and a good percentage of those are Republicans. So we have 11 Republican co-sponsors here in the Senate. We have more than 90 Republican co-sponsors in the House. The difficulty has been this administration. And this is what's so confusing to me. If you're George Bush and you're at the end of your tenure, what a moment that you could have if you had a Rose Garden signing ceremony with Republicans, Democrats, veterans groups saying, this group that I've often called the next greatest generation here, we're giving you the greatest benefit we can. I don't get it. I don't know why he hasn't stepped up and done that.
Well, and to that point, where is Senator McCain on this? Could there possibly be, to him, could there possibly be something more important than the welfare of our servicemen and servicewomen?
One would think not. I've known John McCain for 30 years. I've considered him to be a friend, and I have said a number of times that I think if I could get John McCain to sit down, he's been so busy, and listen to what we have in this bill, I can't imagine he wouldn't support it.
Well, we wish you best of luck doing that. Obviously, it is a measure that is of incredible importance to the country and specifically to the people you're trying to help. The new book from Jim Webb is A Time to Fight, Reclaiming a Fair and Just America. Senator Jim Webb has been good enough to give us a few moments here from the Capitol. Thank you for your time tonight, sir.
Thanks for having me.
All right.